Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, Sankhya Yoga, text number 31. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam asthitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam asthitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam asthitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam astitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam astitah sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam astitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Chant. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam astitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. No, that's anybody else? Online?
Sarvata sorry Prabhuji, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam
Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam
bhajate ekatvam astitah
bhajati ekatvam astitah
sarvata vartamanopi
sarvatha vartamanopi
sayogi mai vartate.
sayogi mai vartate.
Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam
Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam
bhajati ekatvam astitah
bhajati ekatvam astitah
sarvata vartamanopi
sarvatha vartamanopi
sayogi mai vartate.
sayogi mai vartate.
Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam
Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam
bhajati ekatvam asthitah
bhajati ekatvam astitah
sarvatha vartamanopi
sarvatha vartamanopi
sayogi mai vartate.
sayogi mai vartate.
Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam
Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam
bhajati ekatvam astitah
bhajati ekatvam astitah
sarvatha vartamanopi
sarvatha vartamanopi
sayogi mai vartate.
sayogi mai vartate. Anybody else? Synonyms: Sarvabhuta sthitam, situated in everyone's heart. Yaha, he who. Mam, unto me. Bhajati, serves in devotional service. Ekatvam, oneness. Asthitaha, thus situated. Sarvatha, in all respects. Vartamanaha, being situated. Api, in spite of. Saha, he. Yogi, transcendentalist. Mai, unto me. Vartate, remains. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The yogi who knows that I and the super soul within all creatures are one worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances. Translation with repetition. The yogi who knows that I and the super soul within all creatures are one, worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A yogi who is practicing meditation on the super soul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu with four hands, holding console, wheel, club, and lotus flower. The yogi should know that Vishnu is not different from Krishna. Krishna, in this form of super soul, is situated in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable super souls present in the innumerable hearts of living entities. Nor is there a difference between Krishna conscious person, always engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the super soul. The yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Rupa Goswami, Nikhileshu Avasthasu Jivan Mukta Sauchyate. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. In the Narada Pancharatra, this is confirmed in this way. Dik Kaladi Anavachinne Krishne Chetu Vidhayacha Tanmayo Bhavati Kshipram Jivo Brahmani Yojayat. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who's all-pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. The Vedas confirm this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows. Eko pisan bahuda yo bhavati aishwaryad rupam ekam cha suryabad bahudhiyate. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all-pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere. As the sun, he appears in many places at once. Thus ends the wonderful Transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. You all coming for the first time? Are you aware of any philosophy like Krishna consciousness? You used to visit to some temple? Welcome. Then you are not out of place. You'll understand what it is. Okay. So today's topic is devotional service, and we are in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is also known as Sankhya Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Before we delve deeper into today's verse and understand what this verse is, what Krishna is telling, I want you to, in this picture, focus on actually in this picture, the only thing which is correct is this 400 forms of Vishnu. Devotional service is something which is universal. I think all the verses of Bhagavad Gita can be called as devotional service. But specific thing about this verse is this picture of the Lord who's appearing as 400 form of Vishnu, who's situated in our heart as Paramatma. And a yogi who's achieved the perfection worships this 400 form of Vishnu as Paramatma in the heart. And why he worships, what does he see, and how someone who's not doing but yet engaged in Krishna consciousness is in the same position, we will see in today's class. So today's class, I have a very interesting story to tell at the end. That story is the fruit, the culmination of your waiting till the end. If you wait till the end, you will get to know something which is extremely powerful. Now, you can say, why do you have to wait till the end? Why not at the beginning? The reason being, there is a context to that story, and the context is what I'm going to explain in next half an hour or 45 minutes. That being said, let me show you a picture of someone whom I've already put the name, but some of you may not know. He's one of my favorite inspiring personalities of the world. And there is something very interesting happened in his life, which I want to share. I've shared this earlier in some other forums. So this person's name is Salvador Dali. He's a Spanish artist, and he's no more. He has already left the world, but very, very famous. His full name is maybe Salvador Donovan Felipe Benjamin, something like that, Dali. But the first and the last name is Salvador Dali. Very critically acclaimed, very, very thorough artist, very professional. Why am I mentioning about him? How is it related to today's verse? Salvador Dali was once, going in the streets of Paris. And then there was one lady who came from behind, and she recognized, of course, Salvador Dali has this trademark mustache. Very difficult to miss that. Nobody keeps mustache like this. At least I have not seen anyone doing that. In Andhra, I don't know if anybody does. Very rare, but he had that. In fact, in this picture, what it is shown is very small. He had bigger, like fully like this. So it's easy to spot him. And people were aware who Salvador Dali is. So one lady stopped him. Hey, are you not Salvador Dali? He said, yes, young lady, I am. What can I do for you? The lady asked, can you do a small portrait of mine? Salvador Dali told her, of course, yes, why not? And he took a piece of paper and drew something. And in 5 minutes, he could finish it. He gave that piece of paper to the lady. The lady thanked him and was on her way back. Then suddenly Salvador Dali yelled, hey, young lady, stop. The cost for that drawing is $1 million. So the lady was shocked. So what do you mean by $1 million? You just spent 5 minutes for doing this. You're saying $1 million? I said, yes, you heard it right, $1 million. So when the lady was perplexed and puzzled, Salvador Dali told that To draw that portrait in 5 minutes, I have put in lifetime of hard work to come to that stage where I can draw in 5 minutes. Similarly, to understand Bhagavad Gita, which is considered to be the essence of all Vedic literatures, our acharyas have put lifetimes of hard work. It is impossible to understand without their explaining it to us, without Srila Prabhupada explaining it to us. So, those of you who are listening, who are trying to understand, this is not just mere investment of time because I have nothing else to do. Be always mindful and careful that what you are getting is intense hard work, which is coming in the parampara. The kind of scrutiny, the kind of precision and hard work which is put by our acharyas to explain the meanings so that we don't get confused and misled is just unparalleled. That is why Srila Prabhupada's purports and explanation of these verses are very, very important for us to understand. So this verse today is a very interesting verse. That's why I told, because unless we know what is the context, then we say, okay, one verse you are reading, you read, whatever you want to say, you say, and we'll go. It's not like that actually. If we try to understand through our own efforts, our own endeavor, we may not even get 1% of it. That is why it is so important to know what exactly is being told and what is the meaning of this. Let me start with a quiz, because when we are not tested, we think we know everything. What is the Bhagavad Gita? Why is a small book? It's to come in, what is that? Gita press, Gita printing press. I know Bhagavad Gita. Especially people who are from India. They have this false sense of complacency and false sense of complex that Bhagavad Gita is from India. No, Krishna spoke to Arjuna. Kya badi baat hai? Bahut badi baat hai actually. If we understand this Bhagavad Gita, one book, 700 slokas properly, our life will not be the same. It will be very different. So the question that I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put one verse in front of you. And I know it is very easy to cheat online because nobody is seeing you, but I expect you to be fair. You have to raise your hands immediately. And those of you who are sitting here also can raise your hands. And no seeing, no watching anywhere else, no taking helps. Let's see if you know the meaning. Why I'm asking you is a very important reason. So let's see, what is the quiz, what is the question, and who can answer immediately. So here is going to be the verse. And I'm going to ask one question, which you have to answer immediately. Let me read the verse. Bandhur atmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu satrutve vartitatmaiva satruvat. I have to do it a little fast. So here the word atma is used multiple number of times. Question is, immediately you have to answer. What is the meaning of the word atma? Okay, two hands raised here. Bhagavad Tattva Prabhu is raising hand. Jagannath Tirtha Prabhu is raising hand. Shweta Matis is raising. You are also raising hand. Okay, let's start with you. Soul, okay. Anybody wants to say online quickly? Shweta Mataji, what is it?
Soul only, Prabhu.
Soul, Srinidhi Mataji. She is taking time. Bhagavad Tattva Prabhu, she is searching.
Yeah, in this verse, it can be three meanings. One is body, soul, and also mind.
Body, soul, mind. Okay. Jagannath Tirtha Prabhu.
Self.
Self. Okay. Body, soul, mind. Mind. Okay. You have any other answer? No. Soul. Soul. Okay. Very good. So I got the answer. I didn't want to give time. Still, you took some time. I got the answer, which is primarily three: body, soul, mind. Either it's a combination, somebody said only soul, somebody said mind, somebody said body, soul, and mind. Now, why did I ask this question? See, that's why I'm saying, always remember the Salvador Dali, very interesting personality, long mustache, right? It's not easy to understand this verse. The word Atma, imagine if this verse is put in front of you and you are a Sanskrit scholar. So the word is Bandhur Atma Atmanastasya Yenatma Iva Atmana Jitaha Anatmanastu Satrutve Vartitatma Eva Satruva. Actually, in this verse, the Atma is not referring to body. So those who said body, mind, soul, wrong. Who said? Somebody said also in the online things. Somebody said soul. Soul is partially correct. Because the word Atma has multiple meanings. And one of the meaning that is used in this verse is mind. So Bandhuhu Atma Atmanastasya. The first Atma here refers to mind. Bandhur Atma, mind is friend. Atmanastasya, who's of that living entity. Bandhur Atma Atmanastasya. Yena Atma Eva Atmana Jitaha. Yena, who has Yena Mat, in the first Atma again refers to mind. Atmana Jitaha, who has controlled, that living entity who has controlled, who has conquered, he is his friend. So mind is a friend of that living entity who has conquered that mind. Bandhur Atma Atmanastasya Yena Atmaiva Atmana Jitaha Anatmanastu, who is not able to control, who is not conquered, Satrutve. It's an enemy. Vartitatmaiva Satruvat. That mind acts, remains like a Satru. Let's see the word to word meaning. The first Atma here refers to mind, as I said. Bandhu Atma. So mind is friend. For whose? Atmanastasya Yenatmaiva Atmana Jitaha. So for the living entity, those living entity, mind is friend who has conquered that mind. Yena Atma Eva Atmana Jitaha. So there are Atma and Atmana. So this Atma is mind, Atmanas is living entity or soul. That soul or that living entity who has controlled the mind, that mind is friend. Yenatmaiva Atmana Jitaha. Anatmanastu, Anatmana again one who has failed to control the mind. So Satrutve, it is enemy, and Bhartitatmaiva Satruvat. Atmaiva, the very mind remains as an enemy. Bhartitatmaiva Satruvat. Now, why did I ask this question? Just to give you a glimpse of one word, one Sanskrit word can have so many meanings. And unless we know the context, we lose out the meaning. Somebody says, Bandhuratma Atmanastasya, Yenatmaiva Atmana Jitaha, Atmanastu Satrutve Vartitatmaiva Satruvat. We will not figure out anything out of it. Now, what I'm trying to say right now, this verse, if you see it alone, stand alone, it will not make much sense. But when you see it in sequence, because Krishna is imparting something, imagine if you have to tell something which is very, very powerful, very, it's a striking point that you have to make. You just can't say, there is gravity, gravity works on everyone. And when gravity works, it pulls everyone down. When you're talking something, how's life, what's going on, and then suddenly, there is gravity which is acting in this, and gravity when it acts, it just falls. Everybody falls down. Whatever is supposed to go up, it falls down because of gravitation. It loses the impact. Similarly, Krishna also in certain verses, he builds up to a certain point and then conveys something very striking. Let's do a recap of what we have done. And I asked you the meaning of Atma. You all told, okay, let me again ask you one more question. Can Atma have any other meaning other than body, mind, soul? Senses? Self to ho gaya na, body, mind, soul. Or kaun hai self? Anybody online? Anybody wants to try? What is the meaning of the word Atma other than body, mind, and soul? प्रभु आप जो बोलना है बोल दीजिए, पूछिए मत. अब पूछेंगे तो खुल जाए. बोल. हाँ.
जीव प्रभु जी.
जीव. जीव मतलब क्या है? Tongue.
Like जीव जागो, that type of जीव, right?
जीव तो जाग ही नहीं रहा है यार. कितना बोलने से जीव जागता नहीं है. This जीव is nothing but spirit soul. They've already told body, mind, soul. I'm asking any other meaning. Here the question, other than body, mind, soul, that Atma can have. You see, Balram Prabhu.
I'm sure there are some other meanings, Prabhu. I don't remember right now. In various verses, Atma is translated in multiple ways, other than these three, but I don't remember specifically what they were.
Okay. The reason I'm asking you is because one of the verses which you took in the last to last class, the word Atma was used, and the meaning of Atma was something very different. And that verse is very important to see today's verse, the context. Hence, I'm asking, let's see that verse. And what is the meaning of that word Atma? So it's a recap. I'm reading some translation. This is 6.29, 2 verses before. Today we are reading 6.31. Okay. So let's read the verse 6.29 translation. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized man sees me everywhere. Pay attention to these verses. Don't get distracted by some noises. Noises are always there in life. You're sitting here for 40 minutes, half an hour, not more than that. Pay attention. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized man sees me everywhere. Is it a puzzle or something? What's your name? Soul? Siddharth. Very nice name, Siddharth. You think Krishna is giving some puzzle here for us to understand? A true yogi observes me in all beings. Me is referring to Krishna. He is speaking this verse. So he's telling a true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. What does that mean? Close. I mean, you're trying. Good. Just see that. Read. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Every? How does it happen? Think about it. Next verse, 6.30. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. And today's verse, the yogi who knows that I and the super soul within all creatures are one, who worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances. Will not make sense. That's why I said Salvador Dali, remember. And the fourth verse, which we are going to talk in the next class, is the culmination, is the reason why Krishna is building up. What is the fourth verse? He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings, both in their happiness and distress, O Arjuna. This is the verse which is, the next class, whenever it is, we will have this. This verse, to build up to this verse, Krishna has spoken these first 3 verses. I asked about the meaning of the word Atma, and you could not answer. Let's see this verse, 6.29. Sarva bhutastham atmanam, sarva bhutani chatmani, ikshate yoga yuktatma, sarvatra samadarshanaha. The word atmanam is used in the first line. Sarva bhutastham atmanam, sarva bhutani chatmani, ikshate yoga yuktatma, sarvatra samadarshana. Ikshate is to see. So who is seeing? Yoga yuktatma, a perfectionist in yoga who has achieved the stage of perfection. He's seeing something. What is he seeing? Sarva bhutastham atmanam. There are 2 things that he's saying. Sarva bhutastham atmanam, sarva bhutani chatmani. And Prabhupada's translation is, a true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized man sees me everywhere. Had it been just told to us, this verse, we would have not made any sense out of it. And here the word Atmanam, the first word Atmanam, refers to the super soul. True yogi observes me in all beings. The yogi is able to see. What is he seeing? Because he has achieved that perfection, he's seeing me in all beings. He's able to see that the Lord is situated in everybody's heart as Paramatma, which we know. But the true yogi is able to see. And he's also seeing that every being in me. Let's try to understand this point, because this is a very interesting point. Sarvabhutastham atmanam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshana. Beautiful verse and a purport equally powerful. Actually, the class was very nicely explained by Balram Prabhu. I think he is forgotten, but very nice explanation. You can see that class. There, in that purport, Prabhupada quotes one verse. See, mind you, when we are reading Bhagavad Gita, the translation and purport, very, very important to pay attention to the verses quoted by Prabhupada from different literatures. And this is not from Srimad Bhagavatam that he is quoting. This verse you will find very less mentioned. But in this verse, purport Prabhupada has quoted. What is that verse? Those of you who have your book, Bhagavad Gita, you can see 6.29 purport. Prabhupada says, Atatvat cha matrutvat atma hi paramo harihi. So this is actually, Prabhupada is saying in the Smriti, this is confirmed. Atatvat cha matrutvat atma hi paramo hari. Atma hi paramo hari. So this Atma is referring to Hari. Atma hi paramo Hari. Where did this verse come from? And why did Prabhupada quote in this particular thing? Because to understand Sarva Bhutastham Atmanam, everybody, he's seeing that the true yogi is seeing that all beings, inside them the Lord is there. Sarva Bhutastham Atmanam. Very interestingly, this verse, when I was searching for this, I found that this is quoted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he's giving instruction to Sanatan Goswami about the famous verse, which is a famous verse. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking to Sanatan Goswami.
Atmarama verse.
Atmaram verse. Very, very beautiful verse. 61 explanations of that verse. Atmaramascha munayo nirgrantha piyurukrame kurvanti ahetukim bhaktim itham bhuta guno hare. Atmaramascha munayo. Atmaram is a person. That word Atma, to explain that, who is an Atmaram? What is that word Atma? To explain that, Prabhupada quotes this verse, Atatvat cha matrutvat Atma hi paramohari. I'll explain that. Actually, this is a commentary of Sridhar Swami on Bhagavatam. He's given a commentary on the Vedanta Sutras, and that commentary is very highly revered. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting that commentary. From that commentary he's quoting. That means Sridhar Swami is so old. Even earlier to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has appeared, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting this. Actually, Sridhar Swami is outstanding. That's why, we need to know these people who have passed on this knowledge to us. And what is this knowledge that we are getting? It's not some cheap, ordinary thing that we can figure out. If I don't understand today, tomorrow I can get it. Not like that. It's a very, very confidential knowledge. Very nicely these are explained. And if we don't see them, we will miss out the meaning. So, Atatvat cha matrutvat atma hi paramo hari. Why did this verse is quoted? So, Atatvat means who's all pervading. Atatvat cha matrutvat. Matrutvat is like mother. A mother is always impartial to all her children. Always, 99%. Even if someone is ugly, someone is not capable, someone is specially able, someone has got some deformity, someone is not so intelligent, someone is whatever it is. The mother is always impartial. And she gives all the necessities of all her children. Like that, the Lord also is taking care of all the necessities of every living entity. That is why this verse is quoted. Atatvat cha matrutvat Atma hi paramo hari. So what is the Yuktatma, the person who has achieved the perfection in yoga? What is he seeing? He's seeing that true yogi observes me in all beings. Let's understand the first point. True yogi observes me in all beings. I was trying to see from Prabhupada's lectures and purports. I found 3 points to understand this particular thing which is spoken here. Very interesting. Pay attention. Sometimes when, okay, let me go there. Just come to this. So what are the 3 points that I want to talk to understand this verse? The first point is, sometimes when we see some children, imagine I know you, but I don't know Siddharth. But I saw him one day and you are not there. He's sitting here. So the moment I'm seeing him, I'm able to see you. I know that he's your child. I may not know him that well, but I know you. But just seeing him reminds me of you. Okay, this is his child or her child. So what Prabhupada says is to see the cause in the effect. So effect is like the living entities, and the living entities are because of the Supreme Lord. So a perfectionist, a person who has developed that perfection of vision, is able to see, when he's seeing all the living entities, he's seeing that this is coming from the Lord. So actually what, to see the Supreme in everyone, it is not like, there is a fine line difference between Mayavadis and the way the Vaishnavas see. Mayavadis say, oh, everybody is Krishna, he is also Krishna, he is Krishna, all are Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Everybody is coming from Krishna, it is Krishna. No, no. Why he's seeing like that? Well, the Vaishnavas, what do they see? They see that, okay, he's also a son of Krishna. So Krishna is present in him. The moment he's seeing him, he's able to see Krishna. He's able to remember him. Oh, this is also a child of Krishna. So to see the cause in the effect. Every living entity is the son of Krishna. Then we see Krishna in every living entity. This is the first point. So when he's saying that verse, that a true yogi observes me in all beings. This is how he sees. Observes me. Me is Krishna in all beings. Then the second one is that Prabhupada says to explain this point is to see everything in the Supreme. How do we understand this? So to see everything in Supreme, or to see that everyone is in Supreme, what Prabhupada says is, now let's say I'm sitting here on this chair. And what is this chair? This chair is a manifestation of material energy. What is material energy? क्या पहला था? Bhumi. So this Panchabhuta, actually what I'm sitting on is a combination of this Panchabhuta. Bhumi, Rapo, Anala, Vayu. Where you are sitting, that is also a combination of, this is a combination of these 5 elements. So what is this 5 elements? This is Bhinna Prakriti Rashtadha. These are elements, these are energies of Krishna. So where we are sitting, that is an energy of Krishna. So that is Krishna's. Even my body, this is made up of Panchabhuta. That is also Krishna's energy. So every one of us, everything in this world is actually Krishna's. So to see the cause and the effect, and the second thing is to see everything in the Supreme. Right? So everything is manifestation of Krishna's energy. They're all very powerful philosophical points which we may miss out, or we may not know it unless it is explained by our acharyas. So to see everything in the Supreme. And the third thing that Prabhupada says to understand this is to see everything situated in relation to the Lord. This is very nicely explained by Prabhupada. Prabhupada gives the example of a child when he or she goes to school. The mother in the house, she sees a shoe or a socks or something, and then that reminds him of the child. Oh, this is my son's, or this is my daughter's. That happens because the mother is in very intense love with the child. So even if she sees child is not present, but what she's seeing is reminding her of her child. So a person who has developed that vision can see everything in relation to the Lord. Oh, my Lord has done this. How? Example, Rasoham apsu konteya. Prabhasmi sasi suraya. Prabhasmi, the beauty, the effulgence of sun and moon. Prabhasmi sasi suraya is my energy. It's coming from me. So to see the cause and the effect, to see everything in the Supreme, to see everything situated in relation to the Lord. Let's go back to our recap. So that is 29. 30th verse. What happens? 30th verse, Krishna is telling, Yomam pasyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mai pasyati, tasyaham na pranashyami, sachame na pranashyati. Yo mam pasyati sarvatra, who is able to see me everywhere. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, sarvam cha mai pashyati. Similar thing, the difference between the two verses is, first one was every one, every being. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. And the second one is everything. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Actually, these verses are very, very powerful. And why Krishna is telling, because he's building on to make us to come to a point which is very, very powerful. Third one, today's verse, we have seen, Sarva Bhuta Stitam Yoma, Bhajati Ekatvam Astitah, Sarvatha Vartamanopi, Sa Yogi Mai Vartate. What is the meaning of this verse? The yogi who knows that I am the super soul within all creatures. This is the first time Krishna is telling the word Mam. Sarva Bhuta Stitam Yo Mam, Bhajati Ekatvam Astitah, Sarvatha Vartamanopi, Sa Yogi Mai Vartate. The word me or I, first time is used in this connection where Krishna is telling the yogi who knows that I and the super soul within all creatures are one. They're non-different. Worships me, bhajati. How does he worship? Remains always in me in all circumstances. Sarvatha vartamanopi sa yogi mai vartate. The word vartate I was showing in that verse also when I was asking the question, means he remains. He remains always in me in all circumstances. So you see, the first one that we saw, everyone in me, a true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees everything in me, right? So this is the first verse. The second one that we saw, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me. For him, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. And the third one, today's verse, the yogi who knows that I and the super soul within all creatures are one, worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances. Why is Krishna saying all this verse? Actually, the clue lies in the next verse, and I don't want to spoil what is the next verse, but the next verse is the reason. After this verse 6.32, Arjuna begins to speak, saying that this is difficult, impractical. What are you saying? I can't do all these things. Tell me something. This is impossible to control. This mind, I can't control this mind. This is more difficult to control than the wind. All these things he tells. But why is he saying? Because after having spoken about all these three verses, Krishna says in 6.32 that he is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings, both in their happiness and distress. Actually, that point is so powerful. When one develops that vision, because he's seeing that everything is Krishna's creation, everyone is a child of Krishna, their pain and their happiness appears to be the yogi's pain or happiness. When somebody is suffering, you can say it is referring to some material suffering. Actually, it is not. Here he's not talking about material happiness or material suffering. Why? Because Krishna has already spoken about, give up all this sense gratification, happiness which is derived from the senses and mind. These are all very lowly. And here he's talking about spiritual happiness. When the yogi sees someone advancing spiritually, he feels happy. When the yogi sees someone who's distressed, that is actually the heart of a preacher. Preacher is someone who's sharing this message to the world to uplift them, to see them that the real problems of life are birth, death, old age, and disease. People are ignorant of that, and because of that ignorance, they're suffering. That suffering, it touches the heart. It touches the vision of the yogi, and he, out of compassion, shares this knowledge so that they can overcome these problems permanently. The yogi's vision is very different. He's not seeing whether the person is rich or poor, whether the person is, healthy or diseased. He's seeing more than that. The compassion is whether the person is advancing in Krishna consciousness, whether he's making progress in overcoming these problems permanently, or is he stuck. And he shares this knowledge. That is why Krishna is building it up. But so that's why if we don't understand this, so when a yogi develops all this kind of a thing, he develops that compassion. He's able to see that. But Prabhupada in the purport does something very, very amazing, very, very powerful thing. He's saying this Ashtanga Yoga, it's not the only way by which you can develop this vision. You can do that also by Krishna consciousness. That we will see. Unfortunately, that state which Prabhupada is trying to take us, or Krishna is trying to take us in 6.32, we are exactly opposite. If we see our neighbor suffering, if somebody is having some material happiness or prospering, we feel jealousy comes. Exact opposite. Whereas Krishna is telling compassion for someone suffering. Genuine compassion from the heart. Oh my God, this person is suffering. Let me share this knowledge. Let me help him uplift. Or let me, when he's making progress, let me feel happy. Okay, my God, this person has taken up to Krishna consciousness. Let him go, let him progress. That is the genuine feeling of a yogi. Let's see the purport, where there are two very interesting points which Prabhupada is mentioning. I'll talk about it. And as I said, there is one story, it's a real life story. It's a very powerful story. 3 points we spoke of already. So the 2 points in the purport that I want to talk about is Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. This is what Prabhupada says in the purport. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. Let's understand this and the argument which Prabhupada, I'll come to this a little later. First we'll go to this one. There is no difference between a Krishna conscious person engaged in transcendental service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the super soul. Because the whole verse is talking about meditation on the super soul. But Prabhupada is saying there is no difference between a Krishna conscious person engaged in transcendental service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation. Imagine a person who's seated in Himalayas. Koi kapda nahi, kuch nahi, baitha hai, matted locks of hair, fully focusing hard, controlling senses, practicing celibacy, so remaining in seclusion, not fearful of what's going to happen in the surroundings, focusing on the four-handed form of Paramatma in the heart for years together to come to that stage of trance. Prabhupada is saying that state that he achieves, one can achieve just by engaging in transcendental service continuously. There is no difference between a Krishna conscious person engaged in transcendental service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the super soul. How? Let's understand. Prabhupada builds that very beautifully. And there are 2 verses. Again, I said, as I'm saying, when the verses are quoted from different scriptures, we need to pay a little more extra attention. What are the verses quoted by here, Prabhupada? Yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities in material world, remains always situated in Krishna. And Prabhupada quotes the verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami. And what is that verse? He just quotes one line, but the verse is Iha Yashya Harer Dasye Karmana Manasa Gira Nikhilasu Api Avasthasu Jivan Mukta Sauchyate. Very, very powerful verse. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.187. Actually, the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was nicely understood by Rupa and Sanatana. And they've explained this philosophy so beautifully. Imagine the plight of each one of us had we been practicing this Ashtanga Yoga and been going to some secluded place and seated in one place where we don't see any people, nothing, and sitting and there meditating in Paramatma and doing all those kind of things. Very difficult. Very, very difficult. That's what Arjuna will say in the next verse when we will see. But here is an alternative, and the alternative is all encompassing whatever is recommended or whatever is expected from yoga, and it is also even, it offers even more. So this verse, Iha Yasya Harer Dasya Karmana Manasa Gira Nikhilasu Api Avasthasu Jivan Mukta Sauchyate is a very powerful verse, because it says that how doing all the activities in this material world, you can still be liberated. Actually, the work done in this material world binds one. But the statement of Rupa Goswami, we have to see a little closely. So what is the translation? A person acting in the service of Krishna with his body, mind and words is a liberated person even in the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. Why is he liberated? Because he's acting in the service of Krishna with his body, mind and words. Prabhupada explains this verse. It is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. I want to read a small portion of it, and then we will go to the next one, which Prabhupada says, another quotation in this verse, to explain how Krishna conscious devotee is non-different and not missing out anything what a yogi is trying to practice by focusing on the Paramatma. So what Prabhupada explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking to Rupa Goswami in Prayag for 10 continuous days. Very interesting thing happens. Rupa Goswami actually has written exalted, wonderful literatures. Very hard to think how somebody could do this. Where did he get this power? Where did he get this extraordinary power to explain this complicated philosophy in so simple ways and so many wonderful literature? Rupa Goswami himself in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, many people will not know, in his dedication writes this verse, very interesting verse. And this is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The verse, I'll just read the translation. Rupa Goswami is telling, although I am the lowest of men and have no knowledge, the inspiration to write transcendental literatures about devotional service has been mercifully bestowed upon me. Today morning also we were talking about the importance of mercy, right? So he's telling it has been mercifully bestowed upon me. Therefore, I am offering my obeisances at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has given me the chance to write these books. And Prabhupada says, actually, this is the outpouring of Rupa Goswami, who's personally speaking about the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his auspicious introduction to the book Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. How does a person become enabled to speak, preach, talk about Krishna consciousness? Where does the energy come from? There it is mentioned that Prabhupada explains that this is a confirmation of the statement Krishna Sakti Vina Nahi Tara Pavartana. Unless one is specifically empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement. And that empowerment is nothing but the blessings or the mercy of the Supreme Lord which comes. That is the Krishna Sakti. An empowered devotee sees and feels himself to be the lowest of men. He doesn't think I'm very puffed up, I know everything. Oh, why did this happen to me? Why are you not talking? Why this? All these things. He considers himself to be the lowest of men. But he knows that whatever he does is due to the inspiration given by the Lord in the heart. And this is confirmed by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Anybody knows where the Lord gives inspiration in the heart? Bhagavad Gita.
Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto.
Now.
Smritir.
There's inspiration. There is knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. There is the inspiration. What is the Chatushlaki Bhagavad Gita? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti. So dadami buddhi yogam, I give that intelligence. Those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the intelligence, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. So mind you, the Krishna Sakti comes from the heart. The person doesn't think that I have it. Why is he getting it? Because he's constantly engaged in devotional service. To be empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has to qualify himself. No, you can't get it just like that. This means that one must engage 24 hours daily in the loving devotional service of the Lord. The material position of a devotee does not matter because devotional service is not dependent on material considerations. In his earlier life, Srila Rupa Goswami was a government officer and a grihastha. He was not even a brahmachari or sannyasi. He associated with mlechas and yavanas. But because he was always eager to serve, He was a qualified recipient for the Lord's mercy. This is the clue. Because he was always eager to serve, he was a qualified recipient for the Lord's mercy. A sincere devotee can therefore be empowered by the Lord regardless of his situation. Doesn't matter what background, what you had, doesn't matter. What matters is he was eager to serve. He became qualified recipient of Lord's mercy. In the preceding verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, then it is quoted here, Srila Rupa Goswami has described how he was personally empowered by the Lord. He states, Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikhilasu api avasthasu jivan mukta sauchyate. You don't need to go to Himalayas. You don't need to practice celibacy. You don't need to focus on the Lord in the heart as super soul, as 400 form. You can do that by doing all your activities by staying in this material world, provided you know that you are acting in the service of Krishna with your body, mind, and words continuously. There is no difference. Nikhilasu api avasthasu. In all circumstances, when somebody is acting like that, everything for Krishna's sake. What is that verse? Akhilash Krishnarth. That chesta is, everything is for Krishna. All the endeavors is for pleasure, for pleasing Krishna. A person acting in the service of Krishna with his body, mind, and words is a liberated person even in the material world. Although he may. Krishnarthe akhila chesta. Every endeavor is with our body, mind, words is meant to please Krishna. Although he may be engaged in so-called material activities, you may be engaged, but if the intention is for pleasing Krishna, it is the same state. Prabhupada quotes another verse. The verse is Dikkaladi anavichinne Krishna cheto vidhayacha tanmayo bhavadik shipram jivo brahmani yojaya. I'm going to talk about the story and then I'll come back to this. And the story is a very nice one. You are from which place of India? Which part of India? Andhra. Did you hear the news? Very famous singer in India passed away. I want to talk about Lata. Not Lata Mangeshkar, another Lata, whom very few people know. Probably, do you know? Does this ring a bell? Anybody online knows her? Don't search. Either you know or you don't know. Bhagavad Tattva Prabhu, you know who's?
Don't know, Prabhu.
Okay. Very interesting person. You should know about him. And it's a very powerful story. Real life story. Her name is Lata Bhagwan Khare. What is her name? Lata Bhagwan Khare. Can you say? Perfect. What is the speciality of Lata Bhagwan Khare? Actually, she is very ordinary. She is she earns her livelihood by daily wages. She and her husband both are from very poor background. Whatever little savings they had, she spent in the marriage of her 3 daughters. Daily wages, in India, they carry all this concrete things in their head and they go and do some construction. She was doing that. But one day what happened, her husband complained about some pain in the chest. It was very severe pain. So she attended to him and they found out that nothing can be done in that local village. She was advised to take him to a hospital in Bombay. She took him to a hospital in Bombay. There, people, how they are. They started giving her a condescending look. Well, you don't deserve here. You don't need to be here. And she had very little money. Whatever little money she had, she could just manage to pay that and have an appointment with a doctor. But the treatment that the doctor wanted her to do was very expensive. So the whole day they spent in the hospital waiting for the doctor's appointment, finding out what needs to be done. And then after that, they were going back completely disappointed, hopeless. They were hungry. They went to a small samosa selling vendor asked for some samosas. They were hungry the whole day. The vendor gave them some samosas. Lata Bhagavan Khare got the samosa in a piece of paper. She finished eating the samosa and saw that the paper is saying that there is a marathon which is happening in one place in somewhere in Mumbai. And there was a prize money which was mentioned in that. And it was next day morning. She decided to stay there in Mumbai in the bus stand somewhere. Next day morning, she went to participate in the marathon. How old is Lata Bhagavan Khare? In her 60s. What was she wearing? Not those sports attire which people wear and flaunt, Nike, Gucci, Armani, Adidas, nothing. She was wearing one sari. And she went to participate. Actually, she was banned. They were not allowing her to participate. You're old. What are you going to participate here for? We can't allow you. She was wearing slippers. The race began and she started participating in that. She won the race. She won the race. Actually, in between the race, her slippers got torn. She started running barefoot. 60-year-old lady won the race, got the prize money, went and got her husband treated. Not only that, she comes back again the next year and wins the marathon. Comes back again the third year and wins the marathon. It's unprecedented. And when she was asked, actually you can see, this is a real life story. She wins actually. There is a photograph of her winning the race. So when she won and when she was asked, how did you do this? What she told is a great Krishna conscious principle. That's the second thing which Prabhupada says in this. What she told was, I was only thinking of my husband. Mera pati, 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 kya hoga mera pati. See the power of love, the intense love that one has for one material husband. Inspired her to do some things. What happens if somebody develops that intense love for Krishna? That is what Prabhupada quotes in the next verse. Dik kaladi anavichinne Krishne cheto badhaya cha tanmayo bhavati kshipram jivo brahmani yojayat. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who's all pervading, anavichinne Krishna cheto badhaya cha. And beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. This is that same Nikhilasopi avasthasu jivan muktasu uchyate. Possible just by absorbing oneself in Krishna. He gets completely purified. Dikkaladi anavichchane, that Krishna who is not limited by his time and space. When somebody absorbs, concentrates one's attention on that, miracle can happen. If somebody can win a material race just by thinking of her husband, we can do much more. What is this problem of birth, death, old age, and disease? Can easily overcome this. Here is the process. Here is the process which is coming like Salvador Dali telling that this is not some cheap thing which I am showing you in 5 minutes. This is not some inborn quality. I have put in hard work. Acharyas have written, this is hard work. You can't get this so easily. When you are attending the sessions, have that thing in mind. Pay close attention. This opportunity may not come. Who knows? Tomorrow I'm not there. At least if I have understood this, what these acharyas have given, how they have given and how we can transform, I may try, I may practice. Little endeavor in this. It can free us from the cycle of birth and death. So I'll stop here. We brought it up till the third verse. The culmination happens in the next class. Watch out for that. Of course, there was one point which is mentioned in the purport, another point which is again another quotation. I don't want to get into that, but read that. Gopala Tapani Upanishad, Prabhupada is quoting in this. What is that verse? How does he say that understanding that Krishna is present is Paramatma in everyone's heart, and how that Paramatma is same, it is not different. That same Krishna is present everywhere. What example he gives? That's a homework for you. Let's stop here and see if you have any questions or comments. Any question? What's your name? Sujat, yours. Seshu. Neha, you're in which grade? Where do you live? Yes. Any question? Lata Tai? Saptai? Very, very interesting actually if we pay attention to the things that we are doing, just mindful of what we are doing. Anyway, we are spending time. But when we are paying that, when we are giving that time, when we are investing that time, maximum return can come if we pay attention. Everywhere, that whole key lies in attention. That's the energy of the soul. When we hear with attention, when we hear with submission, when we hear with that desire to understand what Krishna is explaining, nobody can stop us. Ahetuki apratihata.
Prabhu, I
Hare
have one
Krishna.
question.
Yes,
Hare Krishna,
Mataji.
Prabhu.
Yes, yes.
So, the whole thought for today, what you told us, I mean, I find it practically really very difficult, like to have the thought of everywhere and in everyone, Krishna, and then in Krishna, everything and everyone, as you said. But like what I'm trying to tell you is practically how much is it possible? Is
Yeah,
it
very
really
good.
possible in today's world and these times? That's what I want to ask you.
Good question. 200% possible. If that 200% has any merit or any this thing in your mind, it is 200% possible. Absolutely possible. Why it is absolutely possible? Because Krishna's words are not false, and neither they are exaggerations. It's only in lack of application from our side, lack of sincerity or endeavor in our side. Don't worry about focusing all 24 hours in the day. The process begins with chanting the 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra by paying attention. Give your soul's attention to hear every word that you are pronouncing. Just do that. You really don't know what happens after that. Actually, it's a mystical process. And it is the simplest process which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is bringing. It's like, your calling out is that the rain of Satchidananda, which is brought by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it is falling, and our soul can get drenched with that. Unfortunately, the raincoat of thinking is preventing us. While chanting, there is a raincoat of thinking that we are wearing. By your calling out, the Lord is so merciful that He is ready to descend, and He's bringing along with Him the ocean of Satchidananda, which can make us complete. Everybody in this world is feeling that sense of incompleteness because they don't have Sat, the power and freedom. No matter how much you have, you still are incomplete. They don't have knowledge, that's why they're seeking knowledge. They don't have happiness, that's why they're going for happiness. But in all material ways, which can never satisfy them. Calling out the names of the Lord properly, as the way it has been given, just one thing, then by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, holy name appears. He agrees to descend, that he brings along with him that ocean of Satchidananda mercy. And it can drench the soul completely. You can completely be absorbed and satisfied. Only prevention is that raincoat that we are wearing, of thinking, getting distracted. Do that one thing sincerely, properly, every single day. Attention for Krishna will automatically come in all the activities that we are doing. We will always be cognizant. We will always remember that in our life. Start small. In that 1-2 hours that we are doing, again, there also we are spending time. It is not that, we are not spending time. 2 hours are spent, but unfortunately, because of lack of sincerity, we are doing so many things and at the same time thinking that we are also chanting. That is not, it's mechanical, auto japa. When we do with the right feelings, with the sincerity, hear every single word that we are producing, magic happens. That magic is more powerful than this Lata's magic. that did some magic by being inspired by her love towards husband. So that love, that understanding of the compassion of the Lord who's appearing on my tongue by my calling, he's ready to come. But look at my precarious position. When the Lord is present in front of me, I'm doing something else. So I should allow myself to embrace that Satchidananda mercy. When I do that, I can in this transformation.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Ankit, you had a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, simply it came in my mind, not from today's class. Like mode of goodness in Krishna consciousness is always recommendable and it is always good, or do we have something which we should not do in mode of goodness, is my question.
Mode of goodness is the basic launch pad which is required. You know, there is a launch pad which can, like before the rocket is launched to the space, it requires some kind of holding launch. It just cannot go from anywhere. So then the rocket is launched. Mode of goodness is that launch pad which is required for us to become curious to know about the spiritual knowledge. Otherwise, you know, in ignorance and passion, it doesn't even strike us. We're busy in some mundane things and think that that is important to us in our lives. But when we come to goodness, then we become curious, inquisitive to know, to find out. That curiosity or that inquisitiveness is the launching pad. Then you can go. But mode of goodness on its own is not. It also binds. So you have to transcend this three modes of material nature. And Krishna says in the 14th chapter, Sagunan Samatititan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate Mam Choyo Abhya Vicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Sagunan Samatititan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate Mam Choyo Abhya Vicharena. Uninterruptedly, without any hesitation, when somebody is engaged in devotional service continuously, Mam Choyo Abhya Vicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Sagunan Samatititan. Then he overcomes, he transcends these three modes of material nature. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. He comes to the state of Brahma. Next week, we have 3 special sessions on Nityananda Troyadasi, which is going to be on Monday. Learn about who Nityananda Prabhu is and how his mercy, even though I don't understand anything, even though I forget everything that I hear today, tomorrow, or maybe the next moment, doesn't matter. There is this, ocean of mercy which is available for us to tap into. And let's hear about him. Let's hear how important it is to have Nityananda Prabhu in our lives. How he can give us that spiritual bala and how he can give us that mercy to overcome these 3 modes of material nature. This guna pravaha and this karmanubandha, these are very powerful things to overcome, not easy. They bind us somehow or other. They don't leave us so easily. They keep chasing us. But to overcome this, we need mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So we will have those sessions, and Sunday evening, the coming Sunday evening at 4 p.m., we have 3 hours of kirtan, 3 hours non-stop kirtan. And if you are able to come, you are most welcome. If you are able to join also, you can join. That 2 announcements. No other questions, we'll stop. Can I request all of you to come in front of your camera and raise your hands? We will chant once Hare Krishna Mahamantra and start. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.